G'day, I'm Will Anderson. This is Gruen Sweat, the show that knows Olympic glory is fleeting, but brands live forever. We'll meet tonight's panel in a moment, but first, Rule 50 of the Olympic Charter says commercial installations and advertising signs are not allowed inside venues. So how come every medal ribbon podium at the London Games looks suspiciously like the purple of Games sponsor Cadbury? I'm sure it was just a glass and a half of full cream coincidence. And what about this?
This is the London 2012 Mini Cooper, the most recent remote-controlled vehicle for retrieving implements and returning them to the athletes. Similar methods have been employed over the past 20 years at major championships and invitationals. A bit of fun on the infield.
According to the IOC marketing boss, those $14,000 remote-controlled toy cars didn't count as advertising because they didn't feature any branding, other than the phrase, "It's a mini adventure," and the fact that they're minis. Not everyone got away with it. In the 800 metres final, US pin-up boy Nick Symmonds came in 5th, slowed down by the mysterious tape on his arm. The tape was covering a tattoo ad for a Milwaukee design agency. Symmonds used eBay to sell advertising space on his arm for $11,100 in January. Speaking of tape, the biggest act of the closing ceremony, The Who had to tape over the brand names on their amps. And if you look closely, you would have seen this guy on drums. Too far, Cadbury, too far. Ignoring the brand police, London mag The Drum ran the Faux Olympics, a competition to design fake ads for real brands using illegal, copyrighted Olympic images and fonts, like this one for Kleenex, unofficial sponsors of the beach volleyball. And this one for hemorrhoid cream Anusol. And this one for Durex condoms. Usain, not every man wants to be the fastest in the world. Gruen Sweat, confidence when you need it most. Time to welcome our panel from Leo Burnett, Todd Sampson, and from Y&R Brands, Russell Howcroft. They're joined by aerial skier and Olympic gold medalist Elisa Camplin, and fresh off the plane from London, former heptathlete, now commentator, sponsorship and marketing specialist, Jane Fleming. OK, let's start with the highest profile winners at these games. Coles.
It's double voucher time with Coles Sports for Schools. This week, get 2 Sports for Schools vouchers for every $10 you spend at Coles. Hurry, it's the final week. So come on, Australia, let's help the next Olympic champions.
Pearson's been a Coles ambassador for a while now. She's also on the books of AMP, Adidas, Mitsubishi, Acer and Qantas. Let's talk dollars. Jane, what sort of performance bonuses would these contracts have built into them?
Well, she's also on contract with Channel 9 as well, so she's got a media deal too. It would be upwards of 6 figures for every one of those contracts. And then if you have a look at it now that she's an Olympic champion, when she goes back into renegotiation, the contracts that she's already got would probably be doubled. And if she breaks a world record as well, she would get another 6-figure bonus for a world record from every one of those.
That's if they cleverly managed her, right? Because she's locked into all of these sponsorship deals in different categories already prior to winning gold. So unless her renegotiation falls just now, which would have been clever management, she's stuck with the deals she has. She'll get some performance bonuses, but she's not going to be a hugely highly paid athlete.
She is.
I'd like to say that not all Olympic gold medalists get those sort of bonuses. No,
you remember Sergei Bubka, the Ukrainian pole vaulter? Well, he used to break the world record by just 1 centimetre at a time because he'd get the bonus every time.
That's good.
So he'd go 6:01 and the next meet 6:02 and then he'd go 6:03.
And he'd actually practice by pole vaulting over huge piles of cash.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a meet in... there's a meet on in Italy that's up in the Alps there in a place called Siestriere, and if you break the world record there, you get a red Ferrari.
Oh.
Elisa, you've been the it girl coming home with the gold medal. What's in store for Sally Pearson over the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think Sally's not trying to just capture the Australian market, but the international market. So she will be on planes, in front of as many people as she possibly can. It'll be meeting, greeting. It's a massive circus. You know, you get on the train at the Games and it just takes off.
Now's the time for her to capitalise on that, though, because once the 24-hour media cycle kicks back in again, and hasn't it been nice for 17 days that we didn't talk about recession, carbon tax, politics, war, violence. We actually talked about human achievement, but that'll end now. In
fact, I heard today that the sailors are going to have to get their gold medal parade on Nauru. Coles is already leveraging Pearson online with recipe videos in which she hangs out with Curtis Stone.
Who was your biggest inspiration? Growing up, there must have been one sports star that just stood out.
Well, of course, Cathy Freeman.
Yeah.
You know, she's the ultimate, I guess. She did everything possible that an elite athlete would want to do. She was an Australian, she was running in Australia, and she won a gold medal.
Ah, that's so cute. If Coles put Cathy Freeman in one of those ads, they wouldn't let her talk. Pearson's got a bunch of brands behind her already, but one of Australia's top talent managers said she could earn $2 million in 12 months. The Women's Weekly glammed her up for a photo shoot a while back. Todd, is that how you'd sell her?
Definitely not. I think that when you're looking at the marketability of athletes, you're looking at their age, so she's fine. You're looking at their charisma and talent, and you're looking at their social media influence. She's great on all of those. I think charisma, she needs to be careful not to be positioned as the girl next door, or more particularly the boring girl next door. She is a fierce athlete, and I think they should brand her with a fierce competitive edge and not make her so likeable and lovable that she's bland and nothing. And social media, she's nowhere. Yeah, someone needs to manage her social media presence and influence. If you look at like Ronaldo, he's got 46 million Facebook fans. He's got 11 million social media. He's the most marketable athlete on the planet now, so they say, because of his social media presence. She needs help there.
Her being in Women's Weekly, it's a symbol of how dull we've become, Will. She is considered to be safe. And as a result of being safe, she's really attractive for sponsors.
I think she's a symbol of having a 9-network ACP media arrangement. That's why she's in Women's Weekly.
Do you think that's what it is? I mean, it's just one of those things where you're just like, you have to do that?
Yeah, and also, I mean, they wouldn't think about it that strategically, but also, you know, that it isn't her market. That's not her demographic. I agree completely, but that would all be part of the deal.
She's in a position now to control how her image is put to the market, and I think now's the time for a manager to stamp it out, because if she wants to get global appeal and global influence, then she needs a bit of an edge to her.
Couldn't you see her dressed like a gladiator? Like, she's a really strong, young, competitive, fierce kind of person.
Sure, that'd be better than being on Women's Weekly. Absolutely. I find it quite bizarre that they have chosen to do that, because it does reinforce this notion of her being a safe bet. And I know that she's a much more... Her backstory is amazing. I mean, her life story is fantastic, and we get that.
Pearson's story is entwined with that of cyclist Anna Meares, who won gold on the same day. What do you get for gold? An automatic stamp deal which pays $20,000 in cash. Anna tastes like glue. The AOC also gives a 20 grand prize to every gold winner, funded by Adidas. Beyond that, you have to work for your money. Jane, is a gold in the pool worth more than a gold on the track or a gold in the velodrome?
Track and field is worldwide, you know, and swimming and cycling don't take place pretty much in Africa or South America. You know, track and field, there were 204 nations that competed, and then you go to some of those other sports and there's not even 50. So to start off with, there's that global appeal, hence a lot of those global companies would get involved with the likes of a Sally Pearson or a Usain Bolt.
I'll tell you what we do know is that the medals cost you more, cost Australia a lot more. So would you like to know some of the numbers, Will? Oh,
Russell's done research. He's so proud. I am proud. I always love when you've got something up your sleeve. You get this little, like, would you like to know something, Will? I'd always like to know something, Russell. That's why you're here.
So swimming gold's 34.4 million. Each gold medal...
Per gold
in the pool this Olympics, 34.4, yeah. Athletics, 26.9. I can go on. But BMX... we get value for money at BMX. The taxpayer gets serious value for money. 1.8 million for...
See, I think you're taking those figures. That's actually that's the funding that goes to the sport as a whole.
Yes, that's
not just Olympic athletes. So they're actually, Elise is involved with the Sports Commission, so she would understand that. But Daley Thompson...
But you can still take the funding and divide it by the medals.
Yeah.
That's
I think they called you on the bullshit, Russ.
I
got that from you.
Russell's house of cards came down quickly. Mia's had 3 sponsors going into the games: Toshiba, bike company Uvex and BHP Billiton. She even did a pro mining ad before she left.
Kerry and I went to Dad and said we wanted to try this track cycling.
So it was around about 600 kilometres a round trip.
Mum and Dad alternated shifts, depending on who had what shifts at the mines. I don't know how they did it.
Pretty long bow connecting the Olympics to mining. You could argue that the medals are the result of mining, but the London ones come from sponsor Rio Tinto, not her sponsor BHP. Unlike Pearson, Mears has room for more deals. Russell, what would you aim at her?
Bizarrely, Will, I'd aim her at the bike industry. It's a $1.1 billion business in Australia. It's actually a rapidly growing business, as we know. And this sort of idea that you win a gold medal and then all of a sudden you should be on the packet of cornflakes or selling toothpaste, well, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Why not win a gold medal in something which everyone knows you are supreme at that sport, and then make that the place that you make money? And I would absolutely concentrate on bikes.
The connection's got to be real, and she's got a family story to tell. You know, her family supported her, and who supported her family? You know, BHP, that was the lifeblood of what got her to the games, and her support network and her state. Everything was coming from her roots.
So you can see that there's good sponsorship money in it for that, but what's in it for BHP? So, you know, you don't, as a consumer, you're not buying a BHP, so it's not, if you like, traditional sponsorship.
Yeah, but it's BHP, yeah, you know, it's brand maintenance. They're using her to go, like, oh, everyone's like, oh, mining,
yeah, but we all know BHP, so it's not like they need that.
But there's plenty of companies like BHP that don't necessarily need a direct brand product ambassador alignment. What they want is someone to represent them in the community and talk about what a great job they're doing giving back to the community. And Anna is a fantastic speaker, and she'd be perfect for any sort of community brand ambassador.
She could do washer and dryers, the spin cycles.
She could?
Round and round and round.
I think these guys are coming up with a lot better advice, and you're the expert.
Yes.
Here's seems your classic girl next door.
Rocky people, they're special lot. I'll be having a rum later for all of them.
Given all the sacrifices you've made over these years, what are you most now looking forward to?
A Lamington and a rum.
A Lamington and a rum. That's a wedding proposal in Rockhampton. Rockhampton, Lamingtons and Bundy. She couldn't be any more Queensland without punching a New South Welshman in the face. Todd, could you earn cash at state level?
Probably, but not much. She's in a very awkward situation because she is the second most popular famous cyclist in Australia. And Cadel Evans has 2 advantages. One, he's male. 2, that he is on road. And road is much more popular because it gets more eyeballs, more people watch it. It's category management for most companies. So if you're thinking, I need an athlete, I need someone in cycling, your first port of call will be Cadel Evans.
Except for, interestingly, you say that, but the thing that Anna Mears has going for her is actually that she's female and she's not competing against cricketers, against footballers, against rugby league or rugby union players in the market for sports sponsorship. And that's where the Olympics comes to its fore for women, because it's a much smaller competitive market within Australia.
But as you know, Jane, that also translates to she'll get paid a lot less money, because most female athletes get paid substantially less than the male athletes when it comes to endorsements.
Yeah. She does need to compete against Sally Pearson, though. They're the 2 girls, so hopefully the managers will be smart enough to put them in different product categories or different images.
I literally thought for a minute you meant in a race.
Yeah. I was like, how is that going to work?
And I'll have her in speed, but Sally will be better over the hurdles. Until Sally and Anna came along, our only solo gold at the Games belonged to sailor Tom Slingsby. Here was Slingsby talking to the media straight after his win.
On shore, on land, I get a bit nervous with all the media. I'm not sort of used to too much, and but as soon as I got out in the water and got on the race course, I felt very comfortable.
Oh, he would murder a Bundy and a Lamington. Lisa, if you were his manager, would you want him telling potential sponsors that he's not very good with the media?
Well, he wasn't as bad as he actually said he was, and in a way, you know, everyone in the public has nerves when it comes to speaking. He's very likeable, he's very human. So I think the thing for Tom now is that he doesn't get forgotten. You know, he needs to make sure his brand and his PR is built so that we don't remember him as just the first guy that won the gold, and then our two golden girls take the show from here. Fortunately for sailors, they have a very long Olympic cycle, so I hope off the back of, you know, the fantastic work of all of our sailing that Tom gets the credit and the marketing dollars he deserves.
There is, of course, the idea that he might not want to do that.
True. Yes. Yeah, and he wants to go on and race in the America's Cup, and he's got a fantastic boat to get on. He's not coming home straight to Australia because he's going to be a tactician for that race, and that's probably going to pay him a lot more money in the long term.
Well, also there's a lot of philanthropy that goes on within the sailing community as well, so they don't probably need it as much as an Anna Meares or a Sally Pearson.
Because it's professional, so they can sail for the rest of their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
America's Cup.
You know, the people that sail and own all those boats and things, they've got squillions of dollars, and they just throw them a lousy meal here, a lousy meal there, you know, and away they go. They're ready to train for the next 4 years, aren't they?
It's not
okay, I've revised my whole opinion on sailing. It is an excellent sport, and you will see me at the local sailing club tomorrow. Even Slingsby's manager conceded that sailing's not much of a spectator sport. Russell, is it going to be hard to turn this victory into a long-term financial gain, do you think?
Well, if you consider John Bertrand won bronze in 1976, and he's made a lifetime out of sailing. So they're actually, in the long term, he'll get his America's Cup deals, he'll do the Volvo Ocean Race if he wants to. He's going to be always employed on the basis of the skill that he's got. 4
of our 7 golds came in team events, kayaking, sailing and relay swimming. It's difficult to sell a team, but it can be done.
Luscious fruits now exotic, Gruen Valley Gold. The taste will drive you wild, just taste those. Peaches and apricot, pears and orange and passion fruit. It's juicy natural fruit. And the only place it's sold is Gruen Valley Gold.
Todd, can you see any of the teams from this Olympics having that sort of success? Or do you need a great nickname like the Awesome Foursome?
Yeah, I mean, that's genius. That's gold. It was at a time when athletes were OK with taking the piss and having fun and not so self-conscious about their image, and that was a perfect ad for them. Unfortunately, that is what they'll be known for.
That's right, funny. You know, the chef de mission of our team is one of the people in that ad, which is a classic. You know, he's running our whole Olympic movement now, and he was in that ad.
And that went for 10 years. They just dumped the Awesome Foursome. They just dumped them now. I mean, in the last couple of weeks. But that has been a long-standing relationship. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Well, I mean, there's an Awesome Foursome though from this Olympics. There's the kayak guys. You know, and I mean, do you remember that race? I mean, they just powered on through. These dudes need to get the kayakers doing the same thing. You know, can we have advertising like that back, please?
Again, I'm pointing this out all the time, but you're in charge of advertising. Last but no means least, let's cast our minds forward to Rio 2016, and the athletes' advertisers will link up with there. Sally Pearson won her event by the same fraction of a second that James Magnussen didn't win his by. If it had gone the other way, we'd be having a different conversation. Elisa, Magnussen's still young. Will the brands back him for the next 4 years, hoping that he'll have the second bite at it, do you think?
Oh, listen, I think it'll go a little bit slower. You know, it was all risk, all reward type of option that James went. He put himself out there and it didn't pay off. So I think the risk would be that he completely retreats. I think he needs to let us go on the journey with him for the next 4 years. Let us see him learn, go through the humble stage, rebuild himself. We want to be a part of that journey with him, and the results are going to have to be there.
It's an indictment on us that the second in the world silver medalist is now been redefined as the first to lose. It's really not cool. I mean, he's the elite. He put himself out there.
He's lost the gold, not won the silver. That's how it's perceived.
Yes, which is unfair.
Yeah.
There was some commentary though by I believe it was Ian Thorpe, who said it didn't look like he was trying to break his finger. So stretching for the end and stretching for the end with such force that you are threatening to break your own finger. So, and I think
that you think he was worried about breaking his finger?
No. I don't know whether this is right, but
I wasn't hungry enough.
Yes, and then remember all the headlines were around the hunger of the swim team, and there was that comment, I believe, that really triggered that discussion. So, in a way, what people are looking for is that the hunger to come back because, OK, what's the medal? 34.4 million. Yeah, so you need the hunger, and then people will come flooding back very, very quickly.
We can't question the passion and the work ethic of the athletes from the stands. You know, there will be reviews, and we know that swimming is looking into that, but they didn't go there for a party. They went there with our national crest on their chest. They know that they need to stand up and do their best, and they go there to try and do that.
It is weird, the relationship we have, isn't it, as an audience, as you know, the public, where they let us down.
Yeah.
We weren't involved in that at all, and we're so proud when they win. They're like, we're great at sport, eating my bucketed chicken.
Yeah. But it says a lot about us. We claim to be a sports mad nation, but really what this games has shown very clearly is that we are a winning mad nation. And what we're basically saying is if you come second in the world, you're a loser.
No.
And that's a horrible thing to say. I mean, the journalist, there was the media, I think, beat that up a little bit as well, because there was literally a journalist who said, are you disappointed with coming second? And I was like, are you disappointed in being in a dying industry? Gruen Sweat. It's an SUV, but not as you know it. Now, great moments in sportvertising. Each week we bring you 3 examples of sport marketing gold, or fool's gold. At number 3, Dutch beer firm Bavaria, which used the 2010 Soccer World Cup to ambush official beer Budweiser. Bavaria paid 36 women to sneak into the stands during a match between Denmark and the Netherlands, then stand up, strip off and reveal branded orange dresses. The women were ejected from the stadium, but not before their stunt hit social media, and everyone forgot who was actually playing. I wonder what happened to those girls. At number 2, the greatest ever Olympics ambush in 1932, US baker Paul Helms scored the contract for baked goods at the LA Games, and thus Helms Olympic bread was born. Helms sneakily registered the trademarks for the Olympic rings, the Olympic motto, swifter, higher, stronger, and the word Olympic in all 50 states of America, because no one at the IOC had remembered to do it. The baker owned the rights until 1950, when he finally handed them back and said, it was indeed the best thing since sliced bread. At number 1 this week is something more up to date. It's long, but it's worth it.
Yo, right now, kick the bass for them brothers and let them know what goes on. Rolling stones of the rap game, not bragging. Lip bigger than Jagger, not sagging. Spell it backwards, I'ma leave it at that. That ain't got nothing to do with rap. Kill up. This like that. 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 I know this is a shock. Screaming gangster 20 years later. Of course, endorse while consciousness faded. New generations believe in them fables. Gangsta boogie on 2 turntables. Thank you for letting us be ourselves. So don't mind me if I repeat myself. These simple lines be good for your health. To keep them crime rhymes on the shelf. Live love life like you just don't care. 5,000 never scared. Rain the noise is the moment they feared. Get up, still a beautiful idea.
My God, I've seen that a heap and it still gives me tingles. It's a TV promo for the upcoming Paralympics on Britain's Channel 4. Probably my favourite ad of this whole series. Elisa, how does that make you feel?
Oh, pumped. Like, it's a build-up campaign, and it's the Team GB athletes have been training their whole life for this moment, and they're reminding us that the Paralympics is not the after run, it's just about to begin, so get on board, you know. Look past the disability, they are supreme athletes.
Well, on that note, there's billboards all over London, and they say, thanks for the warm-up. Basically, which are very, very clever. Channel 4 again. But the Paralympics are going to be really big over there because athletics in itself was the most oversubscribed sport, and every sport was oversubscribed, so you couldn't get tickets for anything, and they just finally released all those empty sponsor seats late. So everyone that couldn't go to the Olympic Games or get tickets to that, they're all going to the Paralympics.
Yeah. I love that ad. I think that I love the flashbacks. I love that they went back to the accident. I love that they didn't shy away from their disabilities and how it happened, and they went head on. I thought that was a very good way of doing it. And Public Enemy, great choice of song.
It's one of those things, though. Like, I mean, I didn't see any ad that good during the Olympics. Like, you know, they have done an amazing job with this, Russell. I mean, sometimes people struggle to, you know, look at disability or to get close to it or to feel comfortable with it. Like, this ad cuts through that, doesn't it?
This is easily the best commercial that we've seen. It is absolutely stunning. Everything about it's beautiful. In particular, it's the accidents. Because what the accidents does, it makes you so, well, actually, I could have been in that position. So it brings it into everyone's living room and therefore makes it, I think, you know, you can see yourself in that position. You can see yourself with your pregnant wife. You can see yourself in that car. So you...
Absolutely right. The thing that I got every time I watch that is, like, you go, oh, my God, like, not only do you have that moment where you're in the middle of it, but you just think, could I be that heroic in that situation to go, all right, now that this thing has happened, I'm going to dedicate my life to being excellent? I don't think I would. I just think I would sit around at home and smoke bongs and feel sorry for myself.
But I'm not certain...
Oh, no, sorry, that's my normal life.
I'm not certain. I mean, I love this ad, but I'm not certain it will get around the public's general apathy, or at least the commercial apathy towards the Paralympic Games. If you look at swimming, for example, when we did the Olympic trials, we ran, you know, we watched it on television, but those Olympic trials, both the disabled athletes and the able-bodied athletes went to those trials, but they got the disabled athletes to do their swims during the ad breaks, because they know that that they believe that we don't really care. And you watch, the viewership will fall off. It's an indictment on us.
But it's also a direct comparison under that situation too, though. Like, you've got the able-bodied and then the disabled and then the able-bodied again, whereas this is actually a standalone event.
Jane, are advertisers missing opportunities, or is the cold, hard reality here that audience numbers are all that matters?
I guess there's two things in sport that people relate to, or that attract people when you watch. One of them is that you've participated in the sport and you watch it and you think, wow, how can they do that so well? Or the other one is like the sport that Elisa does. You watch it and you go, there is not a chance for as long as I ever live that I can do what that person just did. You know, and I think they're the two things. And that's what worries me about a mass audience. Sometimes when they look at a disabled athlete, there's not as much relatability as if they had have actually have those other two things.
What they've done in this ad is they've tried to change the focus. So the focus, instead of being, oh, pity, the pity strategy, you feel sorry for them and think, oh, good on you for giving it a go, or isn't that brave or courageous? They've moved it to respect me or fear me, because I'm just as fierce an athlete as the able-bodied athletes. And I think that's a very good strategy.
It is.
So do I.
It is, but maybe to answer the question, it will come down to numbers.
Gruen Sweat, try the 1 month starter pack today. Now the pitch where ad agencies attempt to hammer throw the unhammer throwable. This week, as London basks in afterglow, Melbourne Lord Mayor Robert Doyle is already suggesting our southern capital should bid for the 2024 Games. But what of our other metropolises? We've asked two agencies, one from Hobart and one from Darwin, to come up with ads that sell their fair cities as Olympic destinations. Can they do it? Please welcome from NT Agency Sprout, Anya Lorimer, and from Tassie's Red Jelly, Andrew Timms. Welcome. All right, Anya, how did your bid come together?
We went straight down the line for territory, guts and determination.
Let's have a look.
OK, let's cut to the chase. The Games belong in Darwin. Even the big chief has come out to back the bid.
Our official bid for the 2024 Olympic Games.
But we need your vote. Darwin's been bombed, battered and blown away. But it always bounces back bigger and better than ever. This whole city has been built on guts and sheer determination. And that's what the Olympic spirit is all about. And that spirit lives right here. We've got so much sunshine here, we don't know what to do with it all. And if you want culture, we've got multiculture. Hey, it's a sign.
Good job. I like it. Andrew, did you think about bribing the IOC?
Of course. We took our brief very seriously. Yeah, to cut it short, just one simple promise.
Let's have a look.
The Olympic Games. Good fun, bloody expensive. By the time the 2024 Olympic Games roll around, it could cost as much as $25 billion to hold them. Who'd want to put their hand up to spend that kind of coin? Tassie would. Why? One reason. The weather. Tassie gets more hours of sunshine, more rain, more stupidly cold and more ridiculously hot weather than just about anyone, all in the one day. Which means only we can bring the world 2 Olympic Games for the price of one. The Summer Olympics and Winter Olympics. Same location, same venues, same day. Ice hockey in the morning, wait a bit, field hockey in the afternoon. It's win, bloody win. So, bring your budgie smugglers, your beanie, your wife beater, your puff jacket, your Uggies and your sunblock, because if anyone knows a good doubleheader, it's Tassie.
Well done. All right, tough competition. Tough competition. Let's find out what the panel thought. Russell, two crackers to finish up.
They are both fantastic. I love the Olympic beer rings on the Darwin commercial, but the Olympic doubleheader... Andrew, fantastic. Hobart.
Jane, what about you?
I thought they were really funny, and I'm actually going to go to Hobart too because I was very amused by the whole thing.
Elisa, which one?
Well, I was appealing to the sunshine, but how am I not going to go with an Olympics that can have winter and summer at the same venue? So Hobart for me.
And finally, Todd?
I thought they were both great, but Hobart was on a different level.
Well, congratulations to you both, but it is a victory for Hobart.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's how the panel saw it. You can have your say on Twitter or Facebook, or just tell your cat. Gruen Sweat, dermatologist recommended. Let's talk about some of the other winners at London 2012, like Brand Britain.
Why on earth would anyone want to go abroad in 2012? I mean, there are so many events all around the country, like the Queen's Diamond Jubilee.
And what about Anglesey? Well, if it's good enough for Will and Kate. Why go all the way to Bondi when you can come here to Bridlington?
Why go to Bondi when you could go to Bridlington? Check out this pic. Perhaps because it's the waves get above 10 centimetres. He couldn't go to Bondi anyway, he's got red hair. The sun had come out, it'd explode. But let's not quibble about that domestic tourism ad. The Brits put on a great games and deserve their moment. Todd, based on what you've seen in the last fortnight, how would you rate Britain's brand?
I think it's done more for the national mood than it has done for Brand Britain. I think Brand Britain's already in good shape. I think they turned the corner. I think the great campaign was a good campaign, but I think this has really lifted the mood of a country that has been under serious punishment for a long time with recession, all the issues in Europe, and this has given them a sense of pride again. They don't need an awareness campaign. It's one of the biggest cities in the world and one of the most desired cities in the world.
Yeah, their awareness campaign is, remember us, we used to own you.
You know, I read that Britain is now happy and glorious, which I thought was quite interesting. The thing, they have done a great job. I mean, the closing ceremony was basically an ad for their culture and their creativity. But then, of course, advertising works via repetition. We beat people up by saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. So that, of course, is the problem with the Olympics. You have this enormous moment and then you miss out on the repetition bit. So they did that Great Britain campaign leading up to the Olympics.
Which was smart.
Hopefully they do more afterwards.
Well, they have. They've invested. You know, they've taken Lord Coe, who ran the Olympics, and he's now the legacy ambassador. And it's not just the legacy of sport; it's about the legacy of what we have to feel proud of in our country. And I think, you know, with $100 million behind him, he's got a mandate to go and keep the ball rolling, and hopefully they can keep doing that because it's infectious.
But the funny thing is, you know, you talk about the morale and we were talking about the cost of everything. You know, again, there were comparisons made between the £9.6 billion it cost to stage the Olympic Games and what that did for the country's morale, and bailing out the banks for £125 billion, you know. And they were saying, you know, what is the better value in all of this? Because, of course, there were the people that were negative about the cost of the Olympics and the likes. But truly, they are on a massive high over there at the moment, and it will continue on through the Paralympics.
A Nielsen survey found the majority of UK adults think that London Olympics will leave a lasting legacy. Judging by this recent photo essay of abandoned Beijing 2008 Olympic venues, that may not be so easy. The Games is not an automatic win for any city. Russell, how will London build on it?
Well, they've been clever. A few years ago, they created the Legacy Development Office, and so they've actually been investing in what they're going to do after the Olympics, because they know that you can end up with images like Beijing. The park has been dismantled after the Paralympics, and it's going to be the Queen Elizabeth Park. So they recognise that there's danger around that. They've also going to continue the funding for their athletes via their lotto system. So I think they've got it in their head that, you know, that they need to be careful of this. And the other brilliant thing, of course, is that they've learned how to do Olympics really well, so they can now ship that talent into other markets.
Yeah, but it's like gold medals. It gives you the belief as a nation that you can take on the world and achieve more. And I guess the Londoners, they've had the Queen's Jubilee, they've had Kate and Will's wedding, now they've done the Olympics, and, you know, they've been reminded that they can do things at a magnificent level.
That's
and
right.
Hopefully that will sit within the people.
One unlikely star of London 2012 is Mayor Boris Johnson. Embarrassing buffoon to some, lovable maverick to others. Here's Boris doing his Bolt pose. Whitest man alive. Here's Boris responding to a question about what the Olympic rings symbolise.
Exertion, competition, sportsmanship, courage, chastity, poverty, whatever they're supposed to stand for.
A, they stand for the 5 continents, and B, I think he was just naming Spice Girls. And here's Boris getting stuck on a zip wire at Victoria Park.
Can you get me a rope? Get me a rope, OK?
No one was getting him a rope. They started bashing him like a piñata. Some people, Rupert Murdoch included, are now talking up Boris, saying he could be the next Conservative Prime Minister of Britain. Lisa, what do you think? Electable?
Well, there's no doubt that that guy's smart. He went to Oxford, so he knows what he's doing. He sees an opportunity and he grabs it. He's human, he's affable. I think he's super likeable, but he knows his brand. He knows where he fits and he plays it perfectly. I don't think he's going to throw his hat in a ring where he doesn't necessarily belong.
Yeah, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger ran the 3rd largest economy in the world. I reckon he'll be right to run for Prime Minister. But you know what he reminds me of? I get this sneaking feeling that that's what Tony Abbott will be like with more hair and less advisors.
Do you know, in the latest poll has got him as the person that they would like to replace Cameron. He's been a politician before. He's been in Westminster before, and he does have a very significant brain. And what he understands more than anything is that he's in the media content business.
Well,
so he provides media with stuff day in, day out, and it's hysterical.
Dave Letterman interviewed him, and he said to him, "This is such a funny moment." It was all going straight, and then Dave Letterman said to him, "So, since when have you been cutting your own hair?"
Brand Jamaica did well out of the games too, and Brand Bolt spectacularly. We've talked about Bolt's signature move, but as he crossed the finish line in the 4x100 relay on Sunday, he gave us Mo Farah's Mobot. Mo returned the favour. World's worst Village People cover band. Todd, what does that do for both men?
I mean, we look at that and we see symbols and branding and how brilliant that is, and they're kind of the symbols of the games. I think for Bolt, it's a sense of humility and just acknowledging him, and he's a friend. But I love how the M came about. It actually came about from a BBC journalist. He didn't have one because Bolt had one, and the BBC journalist said, "Why don't you do the M from the YMCA?" And that's where it came from.
Well, it looks like a love heart too, and it, you know, as someone who's a refugee and the crowd's been cheering him through, to be able to say I love you and thank you, it's all entwined into such a feel-good symbolism. The downside, though, is that it's probably a little more contrived than we think because they're both managed by the same sports agent.
Yeah.
Bolt's coming to Australia for a holiday next month. Gold Coast Mayor Tom Tate has already started a campaign to bring Bolt to the beach. One-man schoolies. Bolt insists he won't be working on this visit, but Jane, do you think we'll see other brands trying to take advantage of him?
Oh, I am sure we will. If not Shane Warne trying to get him to play, you know, 2020 cricket, then someone else will. They'd be silly not to, wouldn't they? It's a bit like ambushing the Olympics. If you've got the opportunity, why wouldn't you? Bolt's on a contract with Puma for reportedly around about $9 million a year, and he's probably the 3rd highest because Michael Jordan used to be on $25 million for Nike, and then Tiger Woods at his peak was on a 5-year deal for $100 million a year, and Bolt was on $9 million before these Olympics. So, you know,
and it just puts it in context because how much they make. Because he only makes $300,000 on the track. I mean, that's a lot, but that's what he makes on the track. He makes $21 million in endorsements.
The $300,000 that he makes on the track is just the prize money. Yeah, that's not appearance money or any of the stuff that goes on around the meets either.
And Sally Pearson gets to be on a stamp.
And the people who got silver just have to get someone to lick their back. Perhaps the biggest winner of all at London 2012 wasn't a person or a place. It was Twitter, which was such a hit at these games, Adidas is even mooting a shoe for the Rio Games that can deliver live tweets directly to the feet of runners. Todd, would you be worried if you were Facebook?
No. But with both of these, you know, they were saying there was 80,000 tweets a minute during the games. But with both of these, Twitter and Facebook, from a communication point of view, the two brands are irrelevant. It's the behaviour underneath it and the structures they created. By the next Olympic Games, there will be something else that everyone's using that's replacing those that will be communicating for the Games.
It's
4 years is a long time.
I mean, the consumer decides on how they use these platforms. So the users decided that Twitter is for fast-breaking news, if you like, and Facebook is for communication. It's almost like Twitter is telex and Facebook is the letter.
And their replacements are being built right now.
Social media saw enthusiastic sharing of non-sanctioned games images. There was a run on amusing photos of diver faces, a deluge of swimmer porn, and various shots of medalists more excited about sport than they possibly should be. Stroke, stroke. Obviously not the coxless four. Most or all of the posting was against the wishes of the IOC, but Elisa, is sharing, even when it's mockery, good for the Games?
The athletes now are cutting out the middlemen. Or women, they're their own brand, and they're using the likes of Twitter and Facebook to go direct to their end market, which is the audience and the fans. And so the athlete is more empowered than they've ever been before. And I would think within the next 4 years, the IOC will be looking at how they can pull the reins back.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The IOC came out and said this will be the social media games and then proceeded to try and control social media, which is obviously what you can't do.
But it's the new eyeballs. You know, like, the formula for a sport and athletics commercially is the amount of eyeballs you get is the amount of investment that goes into it. And nowadays, with every television show, with all sporting properties, social media is an attachment to that. How many people follow? When you have 46 million people as your fans on Facebook, you are your own entity. You are your own media, you are your own entity.
It's interesting, in Turkey, they don't count audience, as in TV audience. They don't have a system to count it. So they actually use Twitter commentary in order to be the currency on how many people are watching the television shows.
Oh, my God. Ben Elton, live from planet Earth, was the biggest show of all time. Gruen Sweat, depend on it. That's all for tonight and all for Gruen Sweat. Please thank our panellists Russell, Jane, Elisa and Todd. We'll be back next week with a new series of Gruen Planet where we unpick spin and image control as well as advertising. We'll leave you with the latest shot at personal worst, our quest to find the worst performance by an athlete in a commercial of all time. The winner, if it can be called winning, will take home the entertainment industry's most coveted gong, the Hope Diamond of statuettes, the Brown Logie. I just realised that's a bit weird when I put my finger through the Brown Logie like that. I did do that by accident. He's a rower. This week, we travel through time to the 1960s and an ad for Milo that proves cricketer Richie Benaud may have been one of Australia's greatest spinners, but not when it came to products. See you next week.
Meet Australian Test cricket idol, Richie Benaud. For energy and zest, Richie relies on his favourite chocolate-flavoured tonic food, Milo.
Hi there. Just enjoying some ice Milo. It's marvellous what a difference Milo makes to keep you in top form.